Welcome back to Marxisms. Today, I want to go into a little bit more about the Boeing E-6B Mercury. Um, the Boeing E-6B Mercury is one of the United States' most critical military aircraft. Its main job is to maintain communications with U.S. nuclear forces, especially ballistic missile submarines, even during a nuclear war. Actually, primarily, I think, during a nuclear war. The core mission, they call it TACAMO, which is take charge and move out, which is really weird. I don't know where they come up with these names. That just sounds so dumb. But that means it acts as a flying command and control center for nuclear forces. I don't know how it means that, but that's what it means apparently. It's pretty weird. Um, it's it has two primary roles in the theater: communications with submerged submarines. It sends very low frequency VLF radio signals that can penetrate seawater, which is pretty amazing, actually. This allows contact with Ohio class submarines, which are the boomers. Those are the ones that carry the missile payloads. They call them boomers, I guess, because their payload goes boom. So, airborne command post. It's an airborne command post and can relay nuclear launch orders from the U.S. leaders if ground systems are destroyed. It can also act as an airborne backup for the Boeing E-4B Nighthawk, uh, the Doomsday plane. I kind of thought this was the Doomsday plane. I guess it's this. Maybe it's a similar variant. Huh, that's interesting, because that's what these things are. And now there's one of these things almost always in the air. There's been a few times when there hasn't been one, but there's been one other one quickly put up there. I think we have 16 of them total. Two of them are now in the Middle East, for some reason. Well, actually, they're there. I talked about this before. They're there because as a deterrent against apparently Iran launching a nuclear weapon. Karen and I talked about this in the video the other day, but we also think that Trump actually has dropping a nuke on somebody on his bucket list. I don't see the appeal in that personally, but I don't know. He also wanted to nuke a hurricane, and like I said, that just shows a real lack of knowledge on nuclear weapons and hurricanes simultaneously. So it's a little crazy. But this plane, basically it's a 707 airframe. It has a crew of anywhere from 16 to 22, I guess, depending on its mission or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what um, makes that change. I would guess the mission. Like I said, there's always at least one in the air over the United States area. They fly out of Tinker Air Force Base, and they could probably patrol the outskirts. I would think that there should be at least two of them up at all times. The United States is pretty big, but I don't know. I guess it can command the whole thing. So yeah, Tinker Air Force Base. They fly regular patrols over the U.S. and oceans to ensure continuous nuclear command capabilities. So they probably nowadays have more than one up. Back in the days of Looking Glass, I think they had at least one up, and I think there was one continuously flying 24/7, almost the entire time. I guess there was just a couple of times where there was actually not one in the air. Let's see. At least one E-6B is almost always air. Okay, is almost always airborne or ready to launch quickly, and its nuclear forces with its nuclear forces, even if satellites or ground stations are destroyed. It can lock. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ensures. So there's actually some good diagrams and stuff here too. So here's how what would happen in a launch situation where they would actually launch nuclear missiles. It would have to start with presidential authority, of course. That's a little scary, huh? Right at the very beginning, there it is. It's like there's the weak link right right there. It's like, oops. Okay. So, so a nuclear launch order can only originate from the President of the United States. Uh, they work with the National Military Command Center. Yeah, sure they do. And the United States Strategic Command to generate a nuclear strike message. This message includes target package, launch timing, authentication codes, emergency action message, or EAM. The EAM, the actual order is encoded in the emergency action message, EAM. Um, Characteristics, highly cryptid, very short, often less than a minute of transmission, repeated many times, broadcast on multiple frequencies. This message is transmitted to multiple platforms simultaneously, ground stations, satellites, and the Boeing E-6B Mercury aircraft. The E-6B transmits to the submarines. Ballistic missile submarines like the Ohio class submarine operate deep underwater and are very hard to contact. To reach them, the E-6B deploys a trailing wire antenna about 5 miles long. The aircraft flies slowly in large circular patterns. The antenna sends very low frequency VLF radio signals. Wow, that's amazing. The signals can penetrate seawater, allowing submarines hundreds of feet below the surface to receive messages. Now, I wonder if does it fly? This is what I'm wondering. Does it fly behind them, or do they actually get low enough to dip it in the water, like the submarines do? Probably not, though. It doesn't say anything. 5 miles long. It probably does, though. 5 miles long. I wonder how slow it goes. Yeah, how's that work? I'm gonna have to check that out. Hang on, just a second. And that is a no. It does not drag in the water. I didn't think so. It flies in the air above the water, but it is able to penetrate it apparently and talk to submarines. So inside the submarine, the radio operators receive the EAM. EAM. The message is decoded using authentication codes stored in safes. Thank God. Two officers independently verify that the message format is correct. The authentication that code matches. That prevents fake or spoofed launch orders. Thank God. Two-person rule. Every step uses a two-person rule. Multiple officers must independently confirm the codes are valid, the order is legitimate, and the message has not been altered. Without matching without matching authentication codes, the order is ignored. Thankfully, launch preparation. If verified, the submarine crew prepares a UGM-133 Trident II missile. The captain and executive officer must both turn the launch keys simultaneously to fire the missile. Why the E-6B is so important? If satellites and ground stations were destroyed in a nuclear attack, the E-6B Mercury would still transmit orders. Submarines could still retaliate. This ensures the second strike capability that underpins nuclear deterrence. Yeah, it also ensures that the world ends if there is a launch somewhere. It's like, yeah, everybody launch. Well, that's the problem. Is that's what's going to happen. If something gets launched or a nuke goes off somewhere, I mean that's going to trigger a lot of people and a lot of systems, and that could be a problem. So that's why I'm, really hoping that our generals explain the situation to our president, and that he doesn't let his ego do something dumb. I mean, I don't know that that he wants to do that. I just get this sense. I mean, just some of the things he's said. Like, well, we have them. Why can't we use them? He just doesn't really seem to understand that that's a kind of a line you don't cross. But anyway, let's hope it doesn't happen. I would hate to be right on this one. I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to, but I'm just saying I really think that he kind of wants to. I mean, that's not something that I take lightly, but I just get that sense. It's weird. Anyway, we will have Karen on tomorrow. She and I are going to do a little FaceTime, not FaceTime because I don't use Apple, but something like that. Video Ninja. Actually, we're gonna do that because, and she's gonna talk to me about my book. She read what I have so far, and she's gonna give me her critique on it. Constructive criticism and stuff. When she's already given me a little bit, and she's just talking to me, you should have a map, and I do. And it's like, well, you should have a character. I do. It's just I didn't send her those things, so sent her those since then. So, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a character list in the book. Right now, my character list, it has kind of their personalities and stuff like that. I'll leave most of that off. I'll just put what their specialties are and all that stuff. So you could go back and look. There's a lot of characters, unfortunately, in the book because there's a lot of to run a facility like this. There's got to be a lot of scientists, and you have to have military personnel, and then you want to have other characters here and there. And most of these characters are just going to be fill. So it's not like they're going to be featured. There's going to be a few featured ones, and then every once in a while, somebody else is just going to pop in as Phil in the conversation. Especially Phil, Doctor Phil. No. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. I'll see you tomorrow. We'll have Karen and maybe Annette on. We're trying to get a hold of Annette. Anyway, bye.